What is going on, man? How are you doing today?
I'm real good, bro. I'm real good. Nice to see you. Nice to have a chat.
Man, super, super excited to be here. So today I'm joined by
Yes,
Nuxe.
sir.
He is
Yes,
the
sir.
founder of
Pronounced it
Dreamhouse
right.
Co. You said
Good
what?
work. Yeah. Everyone pronounces it wrong. Everyone goes Nux, so that's dope from you to pronounce it
Oh
right.
yeah. No, we've known each other since 2020. I hope I can at least get the
A
name
couple
right by
years.
now.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Nice work.
Oh yeah. So Nukes is the founder of Dreamhouse Co., a distribution that is for producers, which is really interesting. We're
Yes,
definitely going
sir.
to get into that. He is the
Yes, sir.
artist relations slash curator over at waves.com, which is one of the fastest growing sample sites on the entire
Yeah.
internet. If you haven't checked it out, it
Yeah.
is incredible. And
Yeah.
not only that, but he is the producer for Powfu, as well as like literally every other lo-fi artist that has good
Yeah.
music. Tee
Yeah. Yeah.
Grizzley, Milo J, so many
Yeah.
others. So yeah,
Appreciate that.
super excited to have you here. You're also the guy that's doing like some of the craziest sample packs on Waves. So not
I
only are you
appreciate
involved on the
that.
team, but you're doing some amazing work there. If you haven't seen Nuke's samples
Appreciate that a lot.
before, he's very well known for doing like guitar-based samples with vocals. Yeah,
Yeah. That's accurate.
amazing,
I
amazing
appreciate that a lot. Yeah.
collaborations with
Yeah.
singers and uh,
Yes.
true visionary. I love to see it.
Thanks, man.
And
That's very kind. I appreciate that a lot.
most definitely, man. And what I love most about what you're doing is that you are expanding past what I like to call the producer bubble that I feel like so many producers get stuck in.
Yeah.
And that seems to be
Yep.
like the theme between both of us and both of like what we do. Because obviously I started out as a producer, like
Yep.
that's still your main thing that you're doing.
Yep.
Uh, and I feel like so many producers are just trapped in this bubble, especially now, after the compounding amount of content and everything geared towards producers.
Yeah.
It's like every producer seems to think that it's like make beats, get placements,
Yeah.
sell beats online, maybe
Yep.
make like a recycled kit, call it a day,
Yeah.
and then everybody
Yeah.
wonders why they can't make it in the same lane. And they're all
Yeah.
stuck with this
Yeah.
mindset. They don't know anything about how splits work or how
Yeah.
the real side of the industry works. All they know
Yeah.
is if they didn't pay me, I'm taking this song down.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Good luck with
yeah,
that. Yeah.
most definitely. So what would you say was like your initial branch out, I guess you would say, like outside of the producer bubble and like expanding onto some of these more industry things?
Yeah. Really good question. For the longest time I was doing the type beat thing, right? And I think like every producer now is trying to, not every, but a lot are trying to do the type beat thing. Some are really, really good at it, and some, like me, weren't as good at it. Maybe my beats weren't as good, maybe I didn't know how to tag on YouTube. I don't know. I was trying it for a long time, and I was making a lot of beats, and I thought they were good, but I just wasn't getting much traction on YouTube on my own channel. And I remember there was a day, probably in 2019, maybe that I just started to explore some other genres. So I was listening to heaps of lo-fi music, um, not necessarily like the homework study lo-fi stuff, but more so the Rose Boys and the Snows and the Powfus and all those guys with a bit more like rap over it with these cool vocal samples. And I thought I'd just give it a crack. And I found some sample called Lost, I think it's Lost Boy by Ruth B. It's like ballady kind of
Yeah.
emotional piano thing. And I flipped that, and I was kind of sitting on it, and I was going, I think this is cool. Like it probably was very good at the time, but I liked it, and I was going, okay, well, this doesn't feel like something that someone can rap on. So what do I do with this? So I started looking around at YouTube channels that that some of these lo-fi guys that I really liked were being posted on. Sarcastic Sounds, another friend of mine who was getting posted all the time on a YouTube channel called the Bootleg Boy. And the Bootleg Boy posted like a lot of like lo-fi rap stuff and had a couple million subscribers. And I just cold DM'd him and I was just like, hey man, I don't know how you take submissions, but I made this thing. God knows if I've cleared the sample or not, but like I don't know, maybe it'll fit on your channel. And anyway, he said, yeah, he's like, this is dope. Can you send me your Spotify link? Because I'll put that in the description. And I was like, I don't have a Spotify link. I'm a producer. I've got a YouTube. So I quickly went on, figured out how to make a Spotify profile, an Apple Music profile, and all that stuff. Found a distributor, put the song up on distribution, gave him the link, and that moment right there was the beginning of this whole different path that my career went in, which was a lot more around the lo-fi for a few years and the streaming. And so that went up on the Bootleg Boy. It did millions of views over its lifetime. And I thought it was just this mid vocal sample flip thing that I never cleared and was never going to put out. And I still think it's probably a 5 out of 10, but it obviously did some kind of connection on the Bootleg Boy and his fans on the channel. And that started to funnel to Spotify. And I mean, I didn't have that song up for long because it wasn't clear, but I started to release more and more stuff on Spotify. And these were just little vocal samples. So eventually I found some of these really awesome artists on Instagram, I think, that were posting these little acoustic ideas. That was it, like singer-songwriters, acoustic ideas that go for 10 seconds. And I just hit them up and say, hey, can I flip this and turn it into a song? And I did that. And then in about mid 2019, I moved to LA. So I moved from Brisbane in Australia to LA for 6 months. And that was where I linked up with Sarcastic Sounds, and Beowulf and all these people. And we were just powerful as well. Dude, we were in a room, we were in Airbnbs. One person would whip out an acoustic guitar, they would play something, make a little sample. We'd record it with a USB microphone. Like, no, we had no idea what we were doing. I'd throw it into Ableton. I'd put on some headphones for like 15 minutes. I'd turn it into a beat. We'd plug in like one busted KRK that we had in the Airbnb. We'd put up a mic, and then Powfu would rap over it. And then record that. I'd mix the vocals. I'd master it as best I knew how. And the next day, we'd put that to distribution and send it to the bootleg boy. And dude, it was a cheat code at the time. Like every song we were putting up was a million streams basically guaranteed on YouTube and streaming. We had no idea what we were doing. But I think looking back on that, I realize now, not that we knew at the time, but I think that we realized the importance of finding a place that your music can exist organically without trying to shove it down people's throats, without go listen to my song, go listen to my song. We found a place that people were already enjoying a specific sound and a specific vibe. And it was that whole sad lo-fi rap movement, and capitalized on it, even though we didn't know that's what we were doing at the time. It was 100% organic. And so like my biggest song on Spotify with Powfu and Snow, that has, I don't know, nothing crazy, but I think it's got 7, 8 million streams on Spotify. We made that in 15 minutes in an Airbnb in Houston, Texas. Like we had no idea what we were doing, but I think just the fact that we were doing it, number one, so organically, and number two, getting it into a place where it was already organic and we weren't trying to push anything on people that didn't want to listen. And that funneled so well over to streaming. And all those guys ended up signing massive deals. I mean, Powfu went and did Deathbed, which was like the biggest song on the
Oh
entire
yeah.
planet for about a year, that like you couldn't escape that song. It was awesome. And so I think that was kind of this long answer to your question, but that was kind of the start of this thing where I was like, huh, okay. I kept trying the type beat thing. I'm not particularly good at it, but I just tried this other thing, this kind of vocal samples and streaming and this, and that's just blowing up. And that's just millions of streams. It's starting to make a little bit of money, which is cool. I didn't think you could do that as a producer. And so that there was another lesson in that, which is just like, I think producers, and I guess this extends to artists as well, but you should be doing as much as possible. You should be trying everything, every form of content, every genre, every this, every that. Because if you keep trying different things, one of them will work. And I'm a big believer in working smarter, not harder. And you'll find one of these avenues that work, hit it hard, wash, rinse, repeat, and that you'll find your thing real fast. So that was probably the first time that I was like, oh, okay. I found this little avenue that maybe I'm half good at, and it's working, and I've got these friends around me that it's working for them as well, and we're getting all this natural growth and streaming and all this stuff without ever paying for ads or ever trying to do any of that stuff. So that was probably the first bit, which is real cool and an eye opener.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think it's so cool to see how many producers now are starting to get on that wave of like releasing
Yeah,
their own stuff on Spotify
yeah,
and everything like with the
yeah,
artists. Like
yeah.
having
That's what I was doing. Yeah,
yeah, having that like exposure to that early on too must have been like such an amazing impact on your career like up until this point. I mean, like obviously since you have the distribution and everything now.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was cool. It was I mean I was getting hit up all the time. I was getting people sending me beats because they thought I was a rapper because I was tagged on all the songs because it just
Yeah.
no one I'm not gonna say no one was doing it, but it wasn't the norm when you open up Spotify and see the artist on a song. It wasn't the norm for a producer to be on the song. And so I was getting beats sent to me all the time. I had so many DMs like, bro, I'm not actually a rapper. I just made the beat. Like I'm just part of this song. So it was cool to kind of be a part of that, like an earlier stage at least. I'm sure people were doing it way before me, but generally it was cool to be a part of that earlier wave of producers getting on there. And I I think it's a really good idea. Like I think producers should be getting as much credit as they can. And of course, I understand there's a big argument for if you know if you get a beat with Drake and that song does a billion streams, well, yeah, I mean Drake is the one who's the artist. He's the one who's bringing in those streams. Like, of course, there's a difference there, but I still think producers should be, you know, getting their name out there as much as possible, not in a bragging way, but like putting themselves out there almost like artists do. And that was one of the things I was like, I want to be an artist producer. Murder Beats, big inspiration. Like you kind of know his name, and I thought that was really cool. So yeah, it's a good idea to be on those songs as much as you can, with the artists that you're working with, if they're cool with it, of course.
No, definitely. Yeah, and I think it's really cool to be able to have your name attached to it. I feel like the lo-fi scene was like I feel like the first genre to really like put an emphasis on doing that. Like I
Yeah,
remember when I was trying to send beats to all those people, like
yeah,
that was one of the things I really noticed about that. And that wasn't really something I noticed about any other genre that I would look into. So I almost
yeah,
wonder like how much the lo-fi scene as a whole had an impact on people like
dude,
Metro
right?
Boomin releases on doing releases on Spotify and like their own albums and stuff. Like yeah, there were definitely people doing it before, but I feel like the impact that the lo-fi scene
Mm,
had and like how it became so normalized for that, like I just think it's amazing. It's really cool. I started my
yeah,
Spotify like I don't even know how long ago, and
let's go.
every time
Good
I got
stuff,
an
bro.
artist, doing stuff, like I would just be like, hey, can I be a primary on it? You
Can I
know?
tag it? Yeah,
Yeah, we did that with Chandler and YNZ Martyr, and
yeah,
it's
my
now
boy.
like one of Chandler's biggest songs. Definitely not
Yeah.
one of one of YNZ's biggest songs,
Nah, probably not. He's
but
got a couple big ones.
no, definitely. But yeah, I mean, we did like 10 million streams on it, and now it's
Dope,
attached to my
man.
name.
Congrats.
So I've got like
Yeah,
200,000 monthly listeners from it, and
dude.
what
That's what
producers
I'm talking
don't
about, bro.
realize,
Yeah.
yeah, what producers don't realize is like when you do that, you have so much more leverage. And I think that's what it's becoming
Yeah.
more about now as a producer because I remember telling you this not too long ago, or
Mm,
I was reading back through our DMs and I saw we were talking about it, and it's like
yeah.
in I think it was like 2020, the average out of the top either like 50 or 100 people on BeatStars, like the average income they were making from beat leases was about like 40K, which is amazing, like
Yeah.
40K a month.
Insane.
And
Insane.
3 years later, in 2023, was the only other time I'd heard the number from it directly from the source, and it was like 8,000.
Yeah.
Same range of
Dropped off a
people, and I'm
cliff,
just like,
hey.
it doesn't take a genius to realize that like that is a market that's going down
Yeah.
fast. And I've
Yeah.
had so many
Yeah.
producers hit me up like asking about like, oh, like is it smart to start a type beat channel? Is it smart to do all this? And it's
Yeah.
like you could definitely try,
Yeah.
but like if you
Yeah.
as a producer are able to add more value to the artist, whether it's the promo side or whether it's just like based on reputation, like that's what it's about. Because
Mm,
a lot of producers look at it as like, you send the artist a song, the artist likes or doesn't like the beat, and then they put it out,
yeah.
and then they magically get a bunch of numbers. But like the reality of it
Yeah.
is like artists are struggling so hard every
Yeah.
single day to
Yeah.
figure out how to get people listening to their music. So from an
Facts. Yeah.
artist standpoint, you're finding a beat that you like, you're paying for studio time to record it,
Yeah.
you're going through a bunch of different people that mix and master until you
Yeah.
finally find somebody that actually knows what they're doing. And then
Yeah.
you go through the struggles of like terrible management or like thinking you need
Yeah.
a manager when you don't, and all the struggles
Yeah.
of trying to figure out how to get people to listen to the song. And then you finally find something that gets your
Yeah.
first like 50,000 streams. And then the producer
Yeah.
wants like 50%. And they're like,
Yeah.
I just did like
It's
this
expensive to be an
whole
artist. Yeah.
thing and you made a beat in 10 minutes. And it's not to say that that beat wasn't like the thing that really made the song stick,
Yeah.
because a lot
Yeah.
of times a lot of times like people
Yeah.
attach to the beat, especially in the 2020s. Like that's such
Mm.
a huge
Yeah.
thing. Like even the
Yeah.
random fans are knowing about producers now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the point is, like, if you have a Spotify with 200,000 monthly listeners, now you have so much leverage than the other random
Yeah.
producer with like 5 followers on
Yeah.
Instagram that makes cool beats. If you two make the
Yeah.
same quality beat, you send it to the same artist, but you can provide more, you're getting the placement.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. I think the leverage is huge for producers as well. I've experienced this personally when I've worked with artists and the artist is incredible and a really good rapper, but I'll have maybe 4 times the amount of monthly listeners than them. And I don't mean that in a way that that's like any kind of flex, but what that does mean is that if we both come onto that song as two primary artists, my algorithm, the Nuxe algorithm, and what Spotify knows about my algorithm is really going to help that song, and it has done multiple times. And if I've already got multiple editorial placements and radio and Discover Weekly and algorithmic and all this stuff, let's go on the song together. It's just gonna boost it in the algorithm, and that's a great. If you were so inclined, you can use that leverage tool to, go for a better position on the song or some different splits or a different advance or whatever, whatever's fair and what you're open to with the artist. But it's so important. And even if you grow your Spotify, and by the way, I'm using Spotify kind of a colloquial, all
Right.
DSPs, but Spotify is obviously the biggest. Even if you grow that, you and an artist for whatever reason says, "Hey, bro, I don't want you on the song," and you come to an agreement where you're not a primary artist, that's completely fine. You've still got it there as something to offer every time. And when I started growing that streaming presence, I was a bit nervous to say to these rappers, like, "Hey, can I get on the song?" Oftentimes, unless they were pretty big, I had more monthly listeners. And when I offered, they were like, hell yeah, that's going to help the
Yeah.
song. I'm fine with that. Like just to have it there to offer to artists, and if it's their song and they own it, whatever, that it's their decision at the end of the day. That's completely fine. That's the role of the producers to make it happen. But to have it there is a big tool. It's going to work better for you and the artist.
Yeah, I love backing up a little bit. I love that you mentioned the
Yeah,
editorials too, because and
yeah,
and this is going to be something for artists too.
yeah,
What a lot of people don't realize about Spotify editorials is the easiest way is assuming you don't know somebody at Spotify, the easiest
yeah,
way to get on an editorial for the first time is to do a
yeah,
song with somebody that has one. And the
yeah,
easiest way after that, when you're doing like your Spotify for artist pitch, is to mention that you've
yeah,
been on editorials
yeah.
before. So
Facts,
literally,
sauce.
an artist dropping a song with you could mean literally
Yeah,
getting editorial placements forever. So
yeah,
it's not even
yeah.
just like that song does better. It's like as an artist, Spotify starts to know about them and Spotify
100
starts to
clicks and
favor their
algorithm.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
insane.
I've experienced that. I've been on. I mean, I've been on pretty much the biggest editorials in the world. New Music Friday in Australia. Lo-Fi Beats that has a couple million followers on that playlist. Like a lot of the biggest
Yeah.
ones, or the big ones in Australia. And that, I think the way I got on them initially was doing exactly what you said. And I was working with an artist, we were collabing on a song. And I think that maybe that artist was bigger than me, on streaming. They had been on editorials before, maybe like Roseboy or Powfu or something like that. Like those guys were killing it. And then I started being on the songs. I started getting into those editorials. And then, fast forward a year or two later, I was doing my own songs with other maybe smaller independent artists. And because I had been on those editorials multiple times, that looks good for the pitch. And also, I guess something's happened in the back end of Spotify, and we're getting on those editorials again. So that's a really good point as well. Like it's going to stick to your profile, and it especially for like the industry side and pitching and all that stuff. It's a good look to be able to say I've been on these big editorials.
Yeah, definitely. It's such a good way to take like the promotion side into your own hands as well. Like
Mm, yeah,
the what a lot of people don't realize about the editorials is like once you've been on some, if you get enough pre-saves, you're basically guaranteed to get on another one. Like
yeah,
that's
yeah,
where it is. Like if you get enough
yeah,
pre-saves, the whole world opens up to you.
yeah,
So it's like
yeah,
if you
yeah,
can help the artist, like you can make content, you can help the artist
yeah.
like promote the song, hype it up, and you get a bunch of pre-saves, like that's just more money in both of y'all's pockets. And obviously like more
Yeah,
streams and exposure and like, it all compounds a hundred
100%.
percent.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. Big up for the editorials and everything. But I think also important to note that editorials should also not be the biggest the biggest goal for streaming. I mean, or maybe should I say the biggest goal for just your music in general. For streaming, it's actually a huge goal, but for music in general, as much as I just said, like that's a really big thing, and it is genuinely really important. I think people would also be surprised at how quickly you get 5 minutes of fame with, 5 minutes of fame with editorials. And I've seen, I've had a lot of different stuff happen to me on Spotify's playlisting, and I've seen every different way that something can happen and how that transfers to streams long term. And the editorials are really good for exactly that. Like they'll help you get on more editorials. It's a good thing. Labels care about that. Management cares about that. It's a really important thing. But in terms of the actual streaming numbers, sometimes you shouldn't be going for just an editorial over anything else because it
Oh,
can
for
spike
sure.
and then it can drop back down real fast. Whereas like getting on 1,000 small listeners playlist will give you like a much more steady growth. So it's interesting. I think it's just good for people to know that you should be aiming for that 100%. You should be pitching your stuff. You should be trying to get in editorials, of course. But it's funny how like you get on there and it's not the like you won't be famous the next day.
Yeah,
Put it
and
that
then as
way.
soon as you're off the playlist, then it's like all your streams are gone. So
Back down.
that leads me into something that I've been like so excited about lately, and I think this is something
Yeah.
that like as a producer, if you know about this, this is like already something that's not talked about in the artist promo
Yeah.
world. Like
Yeah.
it's insane how valuable knowledge it is. So
Yeah.
basically, you don't want to think of your songs as like drop a song, try to get as many streams as you can, drop a song, try to get
Yeah.
as many streams as you can. Instead, think about it as like this big macro plan. And it's insane how little people talk about it like this.
Yeah.
So as an artist, everybody talks about like how much content you need to make and all these promo strats and like editorials and all these things. But really like the most defining thing for how well you're gonna do like with all the non-direct promo stuff. So like all the backend, like Spotify algorithm, editorials, like other
Yeah.
playlists, like getting recommended to people. That all is based on how many pre-saves you're getting. Like it is
Yeah.
insane how
Yeah.
important that is. So what
It's
I
a big
always try to
metric.
tell artists is instead of like putting out a bunch of songs and trying to go for the most streams on each one,
Mm.
instead just try to figure out how you can get a few fans from each one
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
if you can focus your first few releases on building up a few initial fans and then
Yeah.
starting like a community like a Discord or a WAP or a
Yeah.
Patreon or something like that where
Mm,
people can join and just get an exclusive look at your music and you build up these
yeah.
fans, then with each release you get more pre-saves. And
Yeah.
eventually,
Yeah.
like once you get to the point where you can get 1 to 2,000 pre-saves on a song guaranteed,
Yeah.
it's such a perfect position to be in, and that's when you can have a huge
Mm,
record. And what's beautiful about it is it sets you up for longevity. Unlike a lot
yeah.
of these other promo strategies, like the
Yeah.
same thing could happen with content. You could have a video go
Yeah.
viral and a bunch of people fuck with the song, but if you're not doing these things to fan build and like keep those people in,
Yeah.
it's not gonna matter long term. So the artist
Yeah.
that has like 1,000 fans that's getting 1,000 pre-saves with every release has such a
Huge.
higher
Yeah.
shot of having a big record in the first place. And then also long term, they're gonna retain those fans, and those people are, oftentimes gonna be fans for life, especially when you do it like that. Because it's like they come in when they're part of your first 1,000 fans,
Yeah.
and they're there when you have 1 million.
100%. Yeah. It's a really good point in looking at the different metrics in and how heavily algorithms favor certain metrics. And as we know, as you would know really well, engagement as opposed to just views on social media is
Yeah,
weighted so much higher as a metric. And you know, that's just how this social media works is they want you to stay on the platform, they want you to engage. So they're seeing, okay, if all these people are interacting and engaging with a piece of content, this is probably good content, and you don't have to have a human to look over it, and the algorithm can figure that out. And pre-saves, I think it's just the exact same kind of thing. You're physically engaging with a piece of content, if we want to call music that, which it is, like a piece of content or a piece of art, rather. You're engaging with it before the song's even out. Like you got to really like something to go and engage with it before that song's even out. But I couldn't even count the amount of times I've done that. I've been scrolling on Instagram and I've heard a 15, 20-second snippet and just gone, this that sounds sick. And you
right.
see it coming out, it's coming out 2 weeks later. I'm gonna go and pre-save that. Like obviously that's the whole point of how pre-saves work. But that for me to then go off platform, click the pre-save, do the whole thing, that is like a screaming signal to the internal algorithm at whatever DSP you're listening on that yeah, people are gonna enjoy this song. So yeah, totally agree. Good point.
Yeah, 100%. Well, let's move on to your distribution on the topic of
Yeah,
Spotify. What
yeah,
inspired that? What made you want to get into the distribution side and why set it up the way
yeah,
that you did?
yeah. There was a few different things that happened over the past few years that were the inspiration for this company and this idea. One of them was TikTok, right? And I'm not big on TikTok. I'm not particularly good at content, but I was seeing producers have their beats blow up as viral sounds for the first time, literally in music history, that producers had these beats where millions and millions and millions of people were listening to them every day. Obviously, the way that it usually goes is, songs, full songs were blowing up on TikTok. And as we all know, TikTok's like the biggest driving force in the music industry, you know, right now. It's just insane the impact that it's had. And it started so many careers, and whether it started careers or even just started a viral song and then an artist gets a big song and nothing happens after that or anywhere in between. I was like, I was just looking at it going, wow, this landscape is changing so much. And I think that's fascinating. And what can I learn from this? And I started to see all these people blowing up from TikTok. And I mean, even when Powfu did Deathbed, like that was a TikTok song. Like that was absolutely insane. A friend of mine, Snow, did Get You the Moon. That did over a
Yeah.
billion streams. That was everywhere. That was coming from TikTok. And the one thing I noticed was that when producers had beats go viral, you sometimes I go, oh, this beat sounds really cool. I just want to listen to it on Spotify. And you'd click on it, you'd go to now Spotify, TikTok has the add to Spotify thing, but a couple of years ago they didn't have that. You'd go and search it, and it's not on streaming. It's not on DSPs. You can't go and listen to it. And I remember sitting back and thinking, wow, what a lost opportunity for these producers
Yeah.
where you've already found a way that millions of people are listening to this little snippet of your beat. And sure, there might be less people that want to go and listen to that on streaming as opposed to a song with a hook or whatever, but it's still lots of people. And I was kind of like, damn, you guys have figured out the winning formula, whether it's posting memes or it's completely accidental, some influencer uses your beat, whatever it is. I think Mo Beats had that beat called Righteous,
Yeah,
which the
that's literally the
Pepe
first thing I
meme,
thought of. Yeah.
bro, yeah, right? And that was the Pepe meme, like the frog that made that vibe. Like you never know, so random. And I was kind of going, damn, this is so much, so many ears and eyes that are being lost if you had just taken 30 seconds to set up a streaming profile, find a good distributor, put these beats on DSPs. You could have a couple thousand streams and you've set it up, or you could have like God knows what Righteous has right now. It would have in the tens of millions
Oh,
of
for
streams.
sure.
Like, and I think producers as well, as much as this is 100% about the music and the art, we got to pay bills. We're all trying to get some cuts and make some money. Like that's really important. I think producers are already massively undervalued in the music industry. There is money to be made there as well. That's another thing I was thinking about. I was like, yeah, if you've missed out on millions of streams, you're missing out on tens of thousands of dollars that you could have made if you already had something pop off on a short or on a YouTube channel like I did with the Bootleg Boy. You've already got the traffic and you're not putting it on streaming. You are missing out, whether it's $5, $5,000, $50,000, anywhere in between. That's free money that you've just not collected. And I thought that was a bit of a disservice to the producer community that a lot of producers hadn't realized that they can do that. And it costs very little to set up, if anything, maybe 20, $30 to get on streaming, or it's free and your distributor takes a percentage. Like it's not hard and it's not expensive. And that was one of the things I was kind of thinking about. And you know, I was also thinking about how I'd kind of found this different branch where my version of a viral TikTok, not anywhere near viral, but my version was the Bootleg Boy and some of these lo-fi channels that would millions of people were watching those videos, even though they were just my songs. Millions of people were coming there every day, and that transferred into millions of streams on my Spotify. And I was kind of just looking around, going like, "Damn, why are these producers not putting this stuff up?" And I really think the answer is as simple as the fact that it's just not being the status quo. It's just not being the norm because the entire other 99% of the music industry, that's not how it's gone. We haven't had this viral platform where things just blow up overnight. It's still so new, even though we're obviously quite a few years into TikTok and Reels and short form and all that stuff. And I think some of these producers just don't realize that they can do that and don't think that that's something that's as easy to do as it is. And obviously, you've got to figure out the first part, which is you have some traffic going to your beats or having someone use it. But like this happens every single day. There's countless. Think about, I mean, every viral audio you've heard over the past few years, like thousands and thousands and thousands. And so that's what I was kind of thinking about. And I was like, damn, I feel like there's no obvious option for producers. Like there's these really big distributors. So things like DistroKid, for example, which I have used before, but I don't feel like some of these really big distributors are friendly to number one to customers right now, and
They
number
suck.
two, yeah, that's a more accurate way of phrasing it. But also for people who are just new to the distribution, like producers aren't usually the ones handling that stuff, so they don't know how to do it. And so all those things kind of combined, where I was like, okay, what if I can build this company that's a distribution platform for producers, and I can be the one. I've got a team here in Australia, a big customer support team. But what if I can be the one running it and I can help all these producers because I have so many friends in Instagram, I know so many producers that are just so talented and have the most insane beats and already have a popping YouTube channel that they're bringing in millions of views to every month. What if I can kind of help them? Like, bro, send me your top 10 instrumentals on YouTube that are bringing in the most amount of views on your YouTube channel. I'll do the whole like I'm happy to do this for producers at
Wow.
the start as I grow this thing. Like I'm so happy to do that. You send me it, you send me the artwork, send any splits and everything. Give me 1 week, and those beats will be up in an album on your Spotify profile. Take the links to those, go back to your YouTube channel. Obviously, the first link should be if you want to buy or purchase this beat, there's your BeatStars link. And then under that, put the streaming link and think about how many videos there are of type beats that have over 1 million views. There's
Insane.
countless,
So many.
countless, right? I truly believe that not all 1 million of those views, let's hypothetical, there's 1 million views on a type beat. I don't think 1 million of those are all rappers wanting to buy the beat. I think there's some percentage of those people that just want to listen and just think, whoa, this sounds
Yeah.
absolutely insane. I want to listen to this. I listen to beats all the time, and especially beats with little vocal samples and maybe stuff that has a bit more of a sample side or some little vocals in there. I love listening to beats. I listen to beats all the time. I listen to heaps of like UK beats that are just good. This sounds sick. I listen to them. And I think producers have done such a good job of focusing on YouTube because that's been the status quo, because that's always been the way it's gone. They put all this effort into this one platform. And I'm kind of going, okay, let's say you're bringing in a million views a month on your YouTube. There is free money that you're not collecting
So
by
much.
setting up a Spotify profile and putting those best beats in an album or in a bunch of singles, whatever you want to do. It's your profile. You can do however you want. I'd say put 20 in an album of your best ones and just take the links and put them back in your YouTube. You will start growing monthly listeners. You will start growing streams. You will start making money out of thin air. It sounds,
Literally.
when I say that, it almost sounds like a scam, but there's just money that I think producers are leaving on the table. So long answer to your question, but I was seeing how well producers are done on YouTube. I was seeing that I'd, made a career and made a living out of putting stuff up on Spotify, putting beats up, putting vocal samples up. I was seeing the power of TikTok and short form. And then I was also seeing all these current distribution platforms that I think a lot of them just don't care about you. They're too big, that you are just a number to them. And I was kind of going, okay, I feel like I can just fit in a place here. And I know it sounds very grandiose and big picture, but I want to start a whole movement of producers doing this. And I want to be the person that in a couple years so much of the producer community has gone, oh yeah, well I already had this popping YouTube channel and now I put all this stuff on Spotify and I'm making an extra 5 grand a month off Spotify just from putting it on there. And that's because Nuxe told me to do it. And I just distribute all my stuff through Dreamhouse and he looks after me. That's my goal. That's kind of why I started it. And it's a huge goal of mine is to help all these producers because I think there is so much talent out there and producers just getting better and better every day, but some are being lost in just the YouTube because that's their only platform and just BeatStars. And I wanted to find a way that I could help producers get on a platform that they haven't really been on before solely by themselves and help producers make more money, help them grow their career. That was why I made Dreamhouse.
That's amazing. And I really love the fact that like you're still actively producing and you're still actively like
Yeah, hell
this is
yeah.
a thing that you do. It's not just like, oh, this can work, so let me just be like the guy
No.
who operates it and that's all I have to do. Like I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
that you're putting your own stuff out there. Like you're setting the example and you're also
Yeah.
giving the system to do it. And it's so many benefits to doing that as a
Yeah.
producer. Like what a lot of people don't realize is like you no longer have to sell exclusives because one, it's
Yeah.
just going to make it easier. Like if you only do beat leases, like I already know somebody's going to be thinking about that when hearing, people talk about putting
Yeah.
stuff on Spotify. Like that's one of the most asked
Yeah.
questions. Like, what if I sell exclusive? Don't, bro.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's what Mantra does, and Mantra's
Yeah.
still like the
Yeah.
top seller on BeatStars, isn't he?
Last time I checked, he was. He's a good friend of mine. He's the
Yeah,
GOAT.
he's been number one
And
for
last
like
time I checked,
years. Yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
and that's his thing. He
100%.
never sells
Mantra's on
exclusives.
Dreamhouse.
Yeah,
So he's starting to put some stuff out. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think Boy 50, he doesn't not sell exclusives, but I know that it's like Boy 50 is a goat as well, real good producer that he's doesn't sell too much of them because it's just like there's just it's a better avenue to just sell a bunch of non-exclusives and
yeah. And
even
when
if
you're
you
in
do decide to sell
control,
the exclusive, like it's still your choice and you can talk about it with the artist and exactly, yeah, when you're in control.
yeah, no, definitely. It's like, yeah, it's just it's so much better to have that full control. Like unless you're making something custom for somebody, like that's what I do. Like I won't sell
Yeah,
an exclusive. Obviously, if I get like an insane offer, I'll sell an exclusive. But
yeah,
like
yeah,
outside of that, it's only if I'm like making something custom for somebody because
yeah,
when you're able to put your own beat out, you're able to put it on YouTube and BeatStars and stuff, you get to monetize it in all these ways, like whether it be
yeah,
Sync
yeah,
or Spotify or
yeah,
whatever. And then one of the other cool benefits of being able to put the beats on Spotify is like another Spotify algorithm thing. It not only favors you when you have people listening to your song or your beat for a long time, but it also favors you more if somebody goes to your track and then they listen to multiple songs.
yeah,
Like that
yeah,
that's like the equivalent of what you were talking about earlier, like that social media
yeah,
engagement. Like if
yeah,
somebody likes your beats and your style of beats, and instead of linking just like a single or whatever, like you just link the whole beat tape or even
yeah,
an album that
yeah,
has all of your stuff on it
yeah,
and they put it on
yeah, or
repeat,
a playlist.
Spotify is gonna be like, all right, you're
Yeah,
going. you're
yeah.
you're getting
This
hella streams. And then it
100%. This,
compounds.
yeah, it's the same. It's really the same thing in the lo-fi hip hop, the homework study beats. That whole genre
Yeah.
is like it's so closely related. We're just talking about we're talking about like kind of hip hop, rap beats, pop beats, that kind of stuff. You go a little bit over this way, and it's almost identical. And the lo-fi beats is one of the like best streamed genres in history. Like
Yeah.
it has so much potential. I have side projects where I just post lo-fi homework beats. I've done it before. I've done millions of streams on it. I won't name names, but I know people who are making ridiculous amounts of money off lo-fi homework beats, and that's not that different because they, to your point, that's just a genre that is often put in the background, like homework, study, obviously. And I feel like the hip hop rap stuff, the beat side, dude, driving, going to the gym, running, like there's just whole other ways that playlist can be put on repeat. Like you said, profiles can be put on repeat. That I think is that's why I think it's going to be a real big thing because it has just as much potential as the lo-fi homework study beats, and that stuff has done billions and billions and billions of streams in that very niche homework genre.
Yeah.
And I think the more beats can do the exact same thing.
Oh, for
And it's
sure they
just about
can.
people who want to capitalize on that and start getting those streams.
And it's never gonna be too saturated either. Like
No,
it's like music. There's how
yeah,
many songs get posted on Spotify
yeah,
every week? It's like 60,000
yeah,
or something like that.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
people are
I think
still
it is.
finding
Yeah,
fans. People are finding fans. Like there's never gonna be enough music to listen to. Like there's never gonna be enough beats out there that people can listen to. Like
exactly.
bro,
Yeah.
if that was a thing, even like as a listener, if I was hip to like a long time ago, it would have just been like so helpful to me. I mean, I remember specifically there was this one Young Taylor beat that I literally could not
Oh,
stop listening to because it was just
dude,
like
I'm the
the
same
most
with Young Taylor. I
insane
used to
beat,
listen to him
bro.
on repeat. Yes. Young
Well,
Taylor, I'd
I'm
rip
looking it
all
up
of his
right
beats.
now.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
I bet
yeah.
I bet it's one I listen to as well.
Oh, for sure. It's like his fourth most popular one or whatever. He had this crazy vocal in it. Man, hold up. I'm pulling up his
Young
sample
Taylor
right
was,
now.
dude, want to know a really cool full circle moment is Young Taylor was one of the first producers I used to listen to ripping his beats off YouTube. Sorry, Taylor, I apologize for that.
Yeah.
Um, and then the other day he hit me up and was like, "Hey, bro, can I put out my beats on Dreamhouse?" And I was like, "Yes, this is such a cool moment that this has come full circle. Like you are
Yeah.
proving the exact thing. Like I used to love listening to your beats and I couldn't, I had to rip it off YouTube, import it into iTunes, do all this
Yeah.
ridiculous stuff. And then now I'm like, yeah, we're coming full circle and you're kind of
Dude.
realizing the power of this. So it's actually very cool. I think we've got a cut on Joyner Lucas's album coming in a few weeks or something, but
Dude,
I'm getting
yes.
Taylor up on Dreamhouse. So it was a cool full circle moment.
No, that's amazing.
Do you
Yeah,
remember which
he's
beat it was?
such a goat. Yeah, it's called Be All Right. It's
Be all
it's
right.
it's
Yeah,
the
okay.
one
I'll
with
listen to
the
it after this. I bet I've heard it.
yeah, the visualizer is like the pink sun. It's
Yeah,
one of his
yeah,
collabs of Polar, so obviously like
yeah,
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 their
yeah.
shit was crazy.
That dude's goaded. Yeah.
Dude, Young Taylor was like the first time that I did like a paid collab that like it really
Really,
paid off, like
really
insane.
sick.
Because
I've never done one of those.
I got scammed so many times off
Yeah,
paid
really.
collabs. Like every once in a while it would work out,
No.
so I just keep throwing money at them. I was in the military, so I had
Yeah.
the extra money. I'm like, whatever. I
Yeah,
want to be like
true.
the guinea pig for my Discord server to let them know if they're like
Yeah.
legit or not.
Nice.
And
Nah, that's good.
bro, I paid Young Taylor. It was $300 to get a collab, and he would post the beat on his channel. And we did
Yeah.
the collab, and it was like it flopped. We made probably like
Yeah,
forty
really.
bucks to this day off. I think we
Damn.
sold like one loops
Yeah.
ever. But
Yeah.
what he did is he sent me a pack of loops and I sent him a pack, and then he posted a beat that he
Yeah.
made on my loops. And then it wasn't until like 6 months later. Obviously, I had worked on like all the loops that he sent me because I'm like, oh my god, I'm working with Young
Yeah.
Taylor. Like this is the
Yeah.
craziest
Yeah.
moment of my life.
Yeah.
And this random like stupid indie label was trying to buy like 30 exclusives off me for like $150 a pop. I'm like, oh my god, I make it like $3,000. This is the craziest thing ever.
Yeah.
And they were
Yeah.
all solo beats except for one of the ones with him. And I
Yeah.
of course I hit him up. I'm like, hey, like, is it cool if we sell this exclusive? And he's
Yeah.
like, oh, like I forgot you even had those loops. Like, send me the beat and I'll
Yeah.
let you know. And he's like, bro,
Yeah.
we can make so much more than $150 on this. Like, fuck that.
Yeah.
Give them a different beat
Yeah.
and then let me upload this. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay,
Yeah.
cool. And then he
Yeah.
did it. And
Yeah.
bro, we made like 2 racks off of that beat in like a
Nice.
few months. And I
Nice.
was like, oh my God.
So good.
But
That's
yeah,
dope. Yeah. Shout out
he
Young Taylor.
he
Absolute
would
goat of the type
absolutely
beat world.
crush it on there on
I'm
Spotify.
getting this stuff up. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Dude, and like his beats are so good
They're
and but also
ridiculous.
think about how many other producers are just as talented as that dude that have popping YouTube channels. Like they are
Yeah.
leaving money on the table by not getting these up on streaming. So if
Yeah,
you have one of those
his top
channels,
beats
hit me up.
6.9 million, 3.6 million, 3.5
Yeah,
million, 2.8 million. That's like boom, 10K, 5K, 5K, 4K.
yeah.
Like, bro,
That's what I'm saying. Yep,
yeah.
yep, 100%. And even if not all of those views transfer to streaming, a percentage of them will. And that
Yeah,
there you go. You've started your profile, you're starting to make some money. Like a percentage of them will, I absolutely guarantee. So that those are the type of dudes that I want to I want to I want to help and get their stuff up and grow their Spotify and just welcome them to the world of distribution and like just open up a new revenue stream. I think it's so easy and so important for these producers because it's sitting there waiting for them, and it's still a new
definitely.
thing on DSPs. So those are the kind of people I want to help.
Definitely. Well, on the topic of revenue streams, I feel like it
Yeah,
would be a sin to have you on an interview and not talk about sample packs and
yeah,
waves.com. So I
yeah,
would
yeah,
love to
yeah,
hear some of your insight to producers who are maybe thinking about sample packs or like thinking about
yeah,
a good way to approach putting those out and why it's beneficial to have that as well as putting out
yeah,
beats.
yeah. Well, I'll tell you quickly that the way I kind of got into the sample pack world was a couple years ago. I signed a publishing deal which luckily was fantastic. You know, you hear a lot of bad stories, but I signed an absolutely fantastic publishing deal with Due Process here in Australia. Um, Shout out those guys. And the first thing we did was I flew to Sydney, which is where I currently live now, but at the time I wasn't living in Sydney. And I flew to Sydney and I just had a week of studio sessions. And on the last day, I had the studio session planned. I can't remember who it was with, but my now manager called me on the morning and he said, "Oh, dude, so and so has dropped out. I think they're sick. They can't do the session. Do you just want to have a day off?" And I was like, "No way, man. Like I'm here. I'm living my life. I'm in a studio every day. I just signed this publishing deal. I made some money. This is sick. Give me as many sessions as we can." So he's like, "Okay, I'm going to try and find someone within a few hours." And call me back an hour later. He's like, "Hey, there's this really incredible indie artist. Her name's Lola Scott. She's from Sydney. Um, you know, I'm friends with her. I think she'd be down." And I went and looked her up on Spotify, and I realized there was a song of hers that was already in my like songs called "The Eviction Song," which is such a cool song. And so I was like, "Yeah, let's do it. Line up the studio. I'll be there." And Lola Scott and I ended up recording what was going to be the start of a bunch of songs, whether like probably for her project or maybe as a collab or whatever. But we recorded all these different ideas in one day, and I was just blown away with how talented she was, and we had such a good session. And over the course of a few weeks after that, I kept trying to work on these songs, and I kept trying to turn them into full songs, and I just wasn't good enough as a producer to turn them into like full indie songs. My wheelhouse was kind of more the rap, the hip hop world, and I kept hitting a brick wall with them. And so I was talking to Lola, and I was like, maybe we have to wait a bit until I'm just better at what I do, and I can work on these. And so we kind of put them to the side for a little bit. At the same time that that was happening, I kept seeing every time I opened Instagram, I kept seeing some kid in like Italy with like a platinum plaque or a gold plaque on some random song. And I'm going, how the hell are all these kids getting all these cuts on these massive songs? Like producers with a couple thousand Instagram followers, like they're really talented, but I'm going, they're not all in the studio with these rappers in Atlanta. Like, what is happening? And obviously I figured out there were just these kids that were making samples, making loops, were networking, were sending those loops to the big producers, mostly in the US, and were getting cuts. And I was like, damn, that's crazy. I never thought you could really get those types of cuts on songs if you weren't in the room, if you weren't there. And it was that time that those two things kind of combined in my head. And I was like, well, I've got all these really great ideas with Lola Scott. I'm seeing all these kids network and get their ideas onto these big songs. What if instead of trying to turn these into full songs, they were just sitting on my laptop doing nothing? What if I turn them into samples? And I didn't even know, I'd never done that before. I'd never put a sample pack out. I didn't know how you do that. I didn't know anything about it. But I kind of said to her, like, are you okay with that? And she was cool with it. And we kind of put this, we stripped out all the drums and I reformatted it and could get a bit more creative and did that thing and kind of put it together into this body of work. Um, and then we started doing some research and just trying to figure out, where to go with a pack of samples. And obviously I can get it out myself and send it to all these producers I know, but you also got to think bigger and work smarter, not harder, try and get it out there as much as possible. And at the same time, I'd hit up a friend of mine, acoustic singer-songwriter, Cold Illumination, to send me
Yes.
some samples because yeah, Cold and so he used to
Yeah.
send me guitar and vocal samples all the time, especially when I was in LA, and I would just flip them into songs on Spotify.
Yeah.
One day I hit him up and I was like, "Hey bro, can you send me some more samples?" And he said, "Oh dude, I'm actually not sending samples out anymore. I'm putting all my packs on waves.com." And I was like, "Ah,
What year was that?
okay, I don't know, dude, probably like 2020, 2021. It was one of those 2 years.
I remember that. That's like such a full
Yeah,
circle thing for me. I was
yeah.
literally this whole interview, I was trying to think of the dude's name because I had
Cold
remembered going
elimination.
on waves before it was like all polished and nice, like before I
Yeah,
even knew it, like years
yeah,
before. And that's
yeah.
exactly what it was. I remember buying the credits specifically so I could get his
Yeah.
samples. And I was just, yeah,
Dude,
that's
that
cool.
see how powerful is that website, like I had the same experience. He said, "Oh, go onto Waves and you can download my samples." So I went into Waves, and in the back of my head, I'm like, bro, I'm not paying for another subscription for another, like everything's just trying to get my
Right.
money. I listened to like 4 or 5 samples on Waves. Take my money. I put in
Literally.
my credit card straight away. And I was like, yeah, this is it. And big shout out to Dan who owns Waves and how well he's done with that platform. And that was kind of where that started because I started downloading stuff on Waves. I was just a user, and me and my manager hit up Waves and submitted the sample pack I'd made with Lola Scott. And you know, they were so cool about it, and Dan was so great about it, and you know, had such a personal touch on, hey, let me help you. I'll set up all the accounts for you and all that stuff. And we put that sample pack out, and I mean, it was like the number one most popular thing on Waves for a while. And Q Beats hit me up, and Ronnie J hit me up, and Major Seven hit me up. Like some of the biggest sample makers and producers in the world were hitting me up from these samples, and we're getting all these songs coming in. Hey B Mike did a song with a whole music video, one of the samples, millions of views on YouTube. All this sick stuff started happening. And that was a lesson in like, you know, if something is sitting on your hard drive that you think is good, there is a way that that can be put out and repurposed and reformatted and can help your career. And someone can enjoy it and can make money off it. Because those songs, those ideas that I had with Lola, if I hadn't have had that sample pack idea, bro, they could just be sitting still on my laptop and none of this stuff would have happened and no one would have heard them. And obviously that then ties into the whole Dreamhouse thing where I'm like, yeah, if you've got beats sitting on there, you can do more with these. But I think for producers, obviously I would say get into the sample pack world. If that's something you feel like you could be half good at, just give it a try because there's really, again, there's no downside. And there's so much happening online these days. Like the music industry is so different to what it was 10, 15 years ago, where so much of it was in person, especially on Waves. Like I know I'm part of the team, but I say this completely objectively. That is such a high quality sample pack platform, and there are so
Yeah.
many big producers that are on there every day looking for samples. And you might be a producer who's not particularly good at making drums, for example, or not particularly good at your 808s or something. But damn, you're a whiz on the acoustic guitar, or you really know your synths, or you can just do some crazy stuff on the flute or something. It doesn't matter that you're not maybe good at making the full beats, or your YouTube channel isn't massive. Make some samples, submit it to Waves, like get it out there. That is a whole avenue that you could find. That's turned for me, it's turned into a massive part of my career. And I've obviously kept working with Lola and a lot of other people now. And I love that platform. I have nothing but good things to say about that platform. They're incredible. It's really sick being part of the team as well and just helping be a part of that. But I would say 100%, like in terms of realistic advice for producers, if that's something you feel like you can do, put a pack together, put 10 samples together of your best stuff, submit it to Waves, see what happens. Obviously, there are other platforms out there, but I would say go with Waves, and you never know what that can turn into. It could
Yeah.
just be a little side project, or you could get the biggest cut of your entire life and start a whole new avenue of your career from. I would highly recommend. And it's just fun as well, man. Like it's just a way to do stuff and make art and make music where you don't feel like you have the pressure of making a full song or a full instrumental. And that can when I work with artists in the studio, I hear that theme a lot. They tell me, dude, this is so nice to be able to just make these hooks and make these ideas. And
Yeah.
I don't have the pressure of making a full song or trying to market a song or anything. I can just do this, and it takes its own life into all these other songs, and all these other people are going to do something interesting with it, which is one of the coolest parts, is making something and seeing it flipped on its head 20 times into different songs. So yeah, I'm big avid supporter of waves.com, and also just producers trying new things. And I think the sample pack thing is a whole avenue, and people are making a living off that. Like there are people doing really well, and that's their main thing. And for some people, it's just a little side project, and anywhere in between. that's another way to grow your brand, network, make money, get cuts. It's all part of it.
Yeah, the common theme between that and the distro just seems to be that, like every idea works, but it's just about
Yeah.
like how you make it work, right? And
Yeah.
it's so cool that we
Facts.
live in
Yeah.
a time where you're able to capitalize on what you're best at. Like 20
Yeah.
years ago, that's not how it would have worked. And now it's like
Yeah.
you submit your stuff to Waves, everybody's on there. Bro, I was in the
Yeah.
studio with AO the producer
Yeah.
like
Shout out Ayo. Yeah.
few weeks ago because I'm
Yeah.
like always in his studio now. He lives like an hour
Yeah.
from me, and
Hell
yeah. So
yeah.
for those of y'all that don't know, he produced like WAP. He had a bunch of records with Black Bear back in the day. He actually is
Yeah.
funny enough. You mentioned the Joyner album. He's the reason that
Oh,
Black
is that
Bear
it?
is on the Joyner album.
Oh, Joe.
Yeah,
True.
so he
Yeah.
set up the
Sick.
feature, and I'm pretty sure he produced the
Oh,
beat
that's
as
sick.
well. But I was in one of the sessions where Joyner's manager was asking for beats, and he's like,
Hell yeah.
he asked me for some samples, and then he went to Waves too, and that was like the first two things he did.
Exactly.
And then he pulled up some
Yeah.
samples. I'm like, hey, I know that producer. He's got like
Yeah.
2,000 followers, and he just downloads
That's
a
sick.
sample and is like, boom, like
Yeah.
it could get a record. Like this dude literally,
Exactly.
you walk in his studio, it's wall to wall with plaques. It's absurd.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
first left, it's like 6 Grammys. And then
Yeah.
you look at the
That's
other,
so dope.
it's like he literally can't put them all up on the wall because they're all like
Yeah.
stacked together. It's
Yeah.
like those are the type
Yeah.
of people that are like looking for that stuff every single day.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
put it
100%. And
put it
dude,
out.
we put 100% put it out, and we put so much effort on the team side at Waves into quality control.
Oh yeah.
And like we reject a lot of stuff because we want producers, these big producers, we want them to go on Waves. And as you and I did, not that we're the Grammy, Platinum, whatever, but as you and I did, we went on, we listened to a few samples and went, that's it.
Yeah.
That's
Take
it.
my money.
Like sign me up, take my money, which like that dude, that's so rare these days when everyone's just trying to get your credit card, everyone's just trying to get some quick buck off you. And so we take a huge amount of pride at Waves in having a high quality control. So,
Yeah. And you
you
guys
know,
do
that's
amazing at
also a
it.
thing. Yeah, yeah, it's a really important thing behind the scenes for us is making sure this is good. And it helps both sides. It obviously helps the people who are subscribed to that platform and want to know that they are going on there and it's only the best of the best. And it also helps the producers because you know that once you get on there, like there's big people on there looking for samples and you've done a good enough job at doing that stuff. So look, if you submit to Waves and you don't get accepted the first time, bro, keep trying. Like we're pretty strict, but you know it is such a good way to get your stuff out there, and we're just growing every day as well. The platform just keeps going to get more people, and I'm blown away at the amount of talent on there. Every day I go on and check what's being uploaded, and it's like, who are these people,
No,
dude? Where are you
literally.
from?
And
Like,
there's
there's
so
just
many of
so
them
much
too.
talent, so
Yeah.
many of them, and a lot of those samples, like when I put up that snippet of Lola Scott and I the other day, and you responded and said you should just be releasing these as albums, which we are going to do. This is also another thing. I think there's some sample makers as well that could benefit from putting those samples, the original samples, on
Yeah.
streaming.
Dude,
Like those ones I
some
do
of these
have
producers,
hooks.
yeah, they're making like full fucking songs and being
They're
like, here's
songs,
a
bro.
sample. It's
Yeah,
got
and
like drums, guitar,
yeah,
vocals,
yeah,
synths, and
yeah,
you're like, bro,
yeah.
what do you even
This
want
is a
me to
song.
do?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
download
A
it and
hundred
I'm gonna
percent.
send it to an artist and it's
A
good.
hundred
Like,
percent. Yeah, yeah. And but purely because of the fact that they are producers and the industry hasn't really told them, well, you put this stuff up on streaming because it's
yeah,
always been artists. That's why I want to help a lot of sample makers. It's not just producers. Some of these sample makers have these like insane, beautiful 3 minute long piano pieces, like classical kind of piano, flamenco guitar, all this stuff. Bro, get that up. Like that's
drop that
incredible.
shit.
And
Yeah.
you drop it. And obviously if you're distributing into samples, then you've got to make sure well you don't have content ID on and you can obviously make sure that, you're aware of what's going to happen when it's going out to other places. But that's just another avenue for you to get your stuff out there.
No, definitely. I think really producers just need to like learn more about the actual music industry
Mm,
because it goes so
yeah,
much further than producers. And I especially now that the producer and artist role are so close together,
yeah,
like
yeah,
that's if there was any advice I wanted to give to a producer, it would literally just to be learn more about the industry. Like
yeah,
seriously, like the
yeah,
more you learn about it and the more you learn how it works, the more you're going to be able to figure out like not only how to work with more artists, but like how to
yeah,
provide more value to them, how to do all of
yeah,
these different things like what we're talking about to capitalize on it and get more streams of revenue. Like Ao the
yeah,
producer is actually one of the best examples of a producer who broke so far out of that bubble. It's ridiculous. Like
yeah,
people don't
yeah.
know this. He's literally the creative director for a hotel. Like
Really?
yeah,
Damn, good
yeah.
on him.
Like
That's
he's
sick.
always telling me about these projects
What?
he's a part of. He's like getting invited to these like fancy dinners with this dude that like owns this crazy farm and like all these
Sick.
like amazing opportunities that literally comes
Yeah,
from him being a producer. Like
yeah,
you
that's so
can go
sick.
so far out that you go from
Yeah,
putting samples out and getting a couple records to literally creative
yeah,
directing a hotel because the way he put it was so perfect. He's like, if you can make music out of thin air, you can like just look at a blank screen and create something out of nothing using
yeah,
the tools that you have. You can do that
yeah,
in any industry. Like every
yeah,
industry
yeah,
needs that, and you can branch out. Like it's
yeah,
2025 and you can literally
yeah,
do whatever you want. Like
yeah, yeah.
literally
Producers are good at
every
that as
idea
well
is
because we have to figure that stuff out. Like there's no course really, like there's no obvious way that producers learn in the same way a classical education, you might go to university or college and learn that way. Producers are good at figuring stuff out and whilst making art, whilst being a creative director, whilst being an editor, all this stuff. So yeah, I totally agree. There are so many different ways to to kind of spin off your core talent of being an entrepreneur essentially is what a lot of producers are really, that they're making a product and they're selling it and they're getting out there. And I think that's just like more can be done for producers to capitalize on that. And I just have a very glass half full kind of mentality about all this stuff. I really can't stand people talking about how everything's horrible and you can't make any money and the industry sucks and people are
yeah.
fake. It's like, yeah, okay, if you think that, it's probably going to become your reality, to be honest. And I just look around, I see people that are killing it, platinum plaques, making more money than they know what to do with. They're just doing so well. They're trying different projects. They're starting businesses in the music industry. They're collaborating with their friends. They're signing record deals. So much cool stuff is happening. And often to a lot of people that you haven't really heard of before, like not necessarily the biggest names or the biggest. Some of these producers just killing it. I know Young Taylor just opened a studio in somewhere in Europe. Like just random
Yeah.
stuff like that is so sick, and that would be a whole project for him. And I just think the naysaying. I mean, I guess it's the loud minority, but the industry is not dead. It's not impossible to make a living. Everyone is not fake. Like this is an awesome time to be alive. There's an awesome
Yeah.
time to be an artist and produce music. It's never been easier. And obviously there is problems with the industry. So, there's obviously some problems and there's stuff going on with AI and producers get screwed over generally. Like, of course, it's not all just perfect and rainbows, but like dude, you can do so much with a laptop and a Wi-Fi and maybe a friend who plays guitar or you know
Yeah,
how to
for real.
bust some stuff out on FL Studio Ableton. Like the world is your oyster, man. I truly believe that, and that's a big part of the whole Dreamhouse thing. And trying to just go, hey, producers, there's more here for you. You can try some other stuff.
Dude, I'm so with you on the mindset thing. I
Yeah,
I work with so many artists and producers,
mm,
especially like with the retreats, and
yeah,
it's like the number one differentiating factor of the people that tend to be like a little bit more successful are the people that are
yeah,
just open-minded. They're
yeah,
excited. Like
yeah,
it's very easy for the industry to take shots at how excited
yeah.
you are, and it's very easy for it to like bog you down. But like
Sure.
I feel like negativity just leads to ignorance. Like
Yeah.
I know so many producers that are like, oh, the industry's fucked, like blah blah. Like if I get a placement,
Yeah.
that's cool, but like I'm hiring somebody to manage all the details and negotiate, and like
Yeah.
I don't want to know how to set up BMI. I just want somebody to
Yeah.
do it for me. I'll
Yeah.
take less money. Like, bro,
Yeah.
it's not hard. It's just like
Yeah.
I was just explaining to my girlfriend earlier, like how you learn to be a video editor. It's like you don't
Yeah.
really do it by binge watching a bunch of videos. Just like as a producer, you're not
Yeah.
just gonna watch a bunch of videos and know about the industry. It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
every time you go to edit a video, try to add in like one thing that you haven't done before. And it's the
Mm.
same way in the
Yeah.
producer world. It's like try something new. Try registering your song to
Yeah.
BMI. Like learn about that the one time
Yeah.
and you're going to know it
Yeah.
forever. And as it
Yeah.
changes, it's going to be easier to understand. And the more knowledge
Yeah.
that you gain in all these fronts, the easier it's going to be to figure out more things. And then eventually it
Yeah.
proliferates. And your biggest problem is no longer figuring out the technicalities of something, but
Yeah.
it's figuring out like, okay, I have all these resources. It's like learning a DAW.
Yeah.
It's like if you
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
know how to use FL Studio, it's going to be really hard to make a beat, even if you have a really great vision or sound in your mind of what you
Yeah.
want.
Yeah.
But when you know the DAW, you know how basic sound design works, you know basic music theory. It's like your only limit then is how creative you can
Yeah.
get, and that's
Yeah.
that's not like that's the smaller picture thing is the music. And the bigger
Yeah.
picture is being able to apply that same mindset to your entire life. Like as somebody who
Yeah.
makes music and as somebody who is creative, you have one of the most, innovative minds in the entire world. And you can
Yeah.
like you can branch out as far as you want with it.
Yeah. 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 100%. I think one thing I noticed a lot when I started getting into the more like industry side of stuff is every now and then you hear someone say, like, this is a very specific example, but I'd hear someone say the industry is fake as fuck and everyone sucks and everyone's trying to like get something off you, whatever. I didn't hear that often, but every now and then I'd hear that and I go, oh damn, like that makes me sad. That's a pretty crazy thing to hear. As I've slowly progressed the ranks of the music industry, and I have many, many rungs on the ladder to go, but as I've slowly come up a little bit, every like 99% of people are just so nice and generous and interesting and creative and want to help. I love that about the US as well. People want to help a lot over there, more so than Australia. But I look back and I'm like, the same people who are kind of talking about, oh, this fucking industry is fake as fuck and everyone sucks. They were the ones who just believed that to their core. And so everything else around them, I know it sounds a little bit woo-woo depending on your own personal beliefs, but everything around them reflects that reality. And if you go through this industry thinking everyone's trying to screw you over, everyone sucks, everyone's fake, that's all you're going to see. It's the spotto thing. It's all you're going to see around you.
Yeah.
And I can so confidently say it's not true. And of course, you have some bad apples, and some people are trying to do bad stuff or whatever. That's going to exist in literally any industry in the world. But
Yes.
I think the vast, vast majority of people in this industry are like some of the coolest, nicest people I've ever met that just want to make music and make art and maybe make a living along the way. And I'm yet to be proven wrong. I every single day I meet new people in this industry and they're all just great. So that's a really big point, I would say, just particularly for anyone starting out. If you're starting out in this industry, starting to make music, starting to be a producer, whatever, if you hear someone say to you, don't get in this, bro. It's all fake. They are the ones who are fake. They are the ones who are negative. That's not true. This industry is fantastic and awesome. And yeah, it'll be hard along the way to like get your start or whatever. But this is a fantastic industry, and I- and
Yeah.
and a lot of people are just creative, arty kids that are living their dreams, and it's so cool.
Yeah. And honestly, I feel like the people that have that mentality and the people who run into that problem the most are the people who are like super opportunistic. Like
Yeah,
they're not trying to like do the music industry the right way, like the
yeah,
slow and steady
yeah,
way. Like they're
Yeah.
out here looking for people that are going to give them $1 million deal when they're not even worth the $50,000 deal,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're going
Facts.
after this, and then they get screwed over because, of course, you're going to get offers from these people that are like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna blow you up, we're gonna,
Yeah.
sell
Yeah.
you on this dream, but like, don't get sold by the dream. Like,
Yeah.
being able to be alive at this time and being able to put that
Yeah.
music out into the world is the dream.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
anything you
100%.
do beyond that, and like being full time or like anything like that, that is all
Yeah.
extensions. And I know so many
Yeah.
people, including myself, when I first started out, was like, you know, I don't, I don't care to get rich in the music industry. I just wanted to
Yeah.
be my goal where like I could wake up and do it full time every day. And that
Yeah.
is
Do whatever you
honestly
want.
such an easy goal to hit. And
Yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
treats it like
Yeah.
it's this big, like crazy, scary thing. But like with
Yeah.
how many ways that you could build up your revenue, like you could have 1,000
Yeah.
followers on Instagram, go over to Dreamhouse, start uploading some
Yeah.
stuff on Waves, and like not
Yeah.
even be super popping like that. Sell a
Yeah.
couple beat leases here and there, as long as you're
Yeah.
staying knowledgeable and you're like just being diligent about the things that you need to learn, just like you would have to do in any other industry. Like it's literally so
Yeah.
easy to be full time. There's a
Yeah.
billion
Yeah.
ways to monetize yourself. And
Yeah.
and when
Yeah.
you're at that point, I think that's one of the strongest points of leverage that you'll ever have in the music industry.
Yeah.
There's this artist that just did a guest speaker thing on my private artist development community. His name
Sick.
is Cuffing Season, and he literally just went full time like 3 weeks ago
Hell
now.
yeah. Congrats
And
to him.
yeah, and it's so cool to see, especially as an artist, because it's harder as an
That's
artist for
dope, man.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah, it
the
is.
craziest part is he's literally just doing it off of streams and TikTok income because he's
That's so
self-produced.
dope.
And like the amount of lanes that are open to him right now are insane because he's
That's
able to
so
support
sick.
himself, his wife, and his kid while
Yeah.
doing his thing in the music industry. So now think about how much leverage he has over any label
Yeah.
deal. Like if a label hits him
That's
up and is
sick.
like, "We can make you a bunch of money," he's like, "Bro, I literally could support my whole family off of this. We have a
Yeah.
house. My daughter's insured. Like
Yeah.
we're good. So you have to
Yeah.
make me a really fucking good offer if you want a
Yeah.
piece of
Yeah.
this."
Yeah.
And
That's 100%. Yeah. Yeah. I've got a friend who I won't name for this example, but a super talented rapper that was just killing it on streams or still is. And I think he got a label deal from Elliot Grange for like $750,000 or something and was like, no, hell no. Like I'll make that in 2 years. And 100% I own everything. Like, why would I take that? Obviously, if you're in a different position in your career, that might be a fantastic deal for you to take. But just the pure leverage of having figured out the streaming game and having figured out the content game, which that guy definitely did, means that he's at the position where he's turning down record deals for $750,000 like nothing. It means nothing. So it's out there. Like it's just consistency, some hard work, some thinking outside the box, and as every industry is.
no, definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing. It's amazing what you can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, if I was a
Opportunity.
producer, I was just starting out and I just heard this conversation, I'd be so
Yeah.
inspired right now.
Good. That's 100%. That's exactly what I hope. For if there
Man,
is someone starting out and they hear this, bro, get at it. Start making some beats. Start making some samples. Start networking. Yes, there's a lot of opportunity out there. I don't have a second of my day for the naysayers and the people just
it's a
spreading
good industry.
negativity about it. Yeah, it is.
Oh, definitely, man. Well, that amazing, amazing points. You feel like you
Yeah.
have anything else that you didn't talk about yet that you want to before we wrap up? I feel like we touched on a lot of
Um,
good stuff.
yeah, I feel like we touched on everything. I think I would just say for producers that are just starting out, kind of like we just said, there is so much opportunity out there. This industry is fantastic. There are so many ways you can get your art out there, have people hear it, make a living off it. And you just need to try things until they work. And and look around at what other people are doing that's working, and ask people for advice, man. Just network and DM people and ask people for advice. Like DMing is the most, I always say sending a cold Instagram DM, whether you're asking for advice or you're just providing some value or something, is the craziest risk to reward ratio of like anything you could ever do
Literally,
in the music industry. Like I have DM'd producers with millions of followers who don't follow me, who have responded in 20 minutes, sent me their mobile number, and then I've been able to send samples to them. Like, what's the worst that can happen? They just don't respond. Like,
yeah,
wow, what a crazy risk to reward ratio. And for producers who are already killing it and doing their own thing, number one, I would say congratulations, because that's no small feat. But I would say think about what you're already doing, think about what you're really good at, and then think about some other ways that you could expand on stuff that's maybe sitting on your hard drive that isn't yet, that you're not leveraging just yet, whether it's beats, whether it's samples. If there's something that you're thinking, yeah, I tried this thing and it sounds really dope, but I don't know what to do with it, please think about that thing more, because there is some avenue that you can get that stuff out there. Nothing should ever be sitting on your hard drive, never to see the light of day, because there's so much talent out there. And those producers and those artists and everything, even if you're already killing it on one platform, there is a way for you to kill it on another platform that feels authentic to you. And so I would implore people to do that.
I love it. Beautifully said.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Amazing. Well, is there anything you would like to plug that you're doing? I know those are like the two main things, is Waves and Dreamhouse, but is there anything cool that you
Yeah.
have coming up that you're excited about?
Well, outside of Dreamhouse, and outside of Waves, lots more sample packs on the way for me. So Lola Scott and I are working on the next one. I was in the studio with her last week. I'll be in the studio with her next week. So for any producers that do know those sample packs and enjoy those, there'll be another one coming pretty soon. I'm not sure exactly when, but we're working on it.
Amazing.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
awesome, man. Super appreciate your time. It's
No,
so
thank
good
you,
to be
bro.
able to finally connect with you after we've known
Yeah,
each other
man.
for so long and
Yeah,
literally like
yeah,
in
for
the same
sure.
lanes. Like
Yeah,
so
yeah,
crazy. So
yeah. And big congrats on everything you're doing. You're killing it with the producer treats and the content and everything. That's a
yeah, I
huge
appreciate it
standout in
for
the
sure.
industry, I think, right now. Big, big congrats.
Thank you, man. Well, amazing. I think that should probably cover it. So you have an
Yes, sir.
amazing rest of your day. Thank you again for your time and
Yeah, bro.
yeah, until next time.
Absolutely. Good to chat, man. Good to chat. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it, hella.